All right, guys, we got Rod Williams here today, and he's an agency partner with our agency, and he's been with us, what, about 6 months, Rod?
Yeah, we started in January. Thank
Okay,
you for having
five,
me.
about 5 months, and I just wanted to let you guys in and kind of let Rod tell you his journey, kind of where he came from, where he's at now after joining our agency and, getting into our system and our marketing and all those things. So, just real quick, Rod, kind of give us a background, where you were. I mean, you don't have to share exactly where you came from if you don't want to, but just kind of share the situation that you were in and how things kind of changed.
Well, absolutely. And Hunter, I appreciate you asking me to come on and do this. But I got an insurance license in 2015. I signed my first contract with an IMO in December of 2016, and we were doing more is mortgage protection, lead generated sales. I knew when I got in the insurance industry that that's what I wanted to do, but I just didn't want to have to go out and beat up all my friends and families and all that trying to to drum up business. So I knew that leads was the way to go. And it was good for a long time. I have no complaints about what I was doing. I learned the system, and you had a steady lead flow. But of course, as everybody knows, through uh, in 2017, 18, 19, all the way up to 2020, man, interest rates were low, mortgage protection leads were flowing, and we were doing well. Uh, as when interest rates started going up, you got your ebbs and flows, and the lead flow in the mortgage protection kind of got a little tougher, and we started trying to do some final expense leads and some other type of leads out there. And I think 2021, 2022, man, I was spending a lot of money on leads and just got real frustrated and seemed like buying age leads, calling people that probably had already had three or four or more other agents call them. Really did not want to be on the phone with me. Didn't
What
want to
type of
hear from.
leads were you buying? Were you buying like an internet-based lead or
Yeah,
mailers
buying
or?
a lot of internet leads. We were trying to buy mailback leads, but I think there became a time. It seemed to me like that they were, the mailbacks they were saying were exclusive, but I don't really know if that was so much true or not. I think that was, But hey, look, people get a lot of
They're
mail.
exclusive to you and everyone else.
Everyone else, yeah, but hey, also too, you got to understand too that a lot of these folks are probably getting bombarded with a lot of different mail. You got a lot of different lead vendors. Who knows how many cards they filled out and sent in. I don't know. I'm not going to say that anything funny was going on, but it just seemed like you was real
Makes you wonder,
frustrating.
doesn't it?
It makes you wonder, but it was real. It just got real frustrating that it seemed like every time you sit down for a dial session, man, you had to prepare yourself for battle. It was a grind and it was a battle to get to dial all day long. You know, 200-300 dials a day to get
You got
four or
you
five
got your
appointments.
objection checklist ready to go.
got your objections and all that, and it was just it really became very frustrating to me, and I just really didn't really feel good about what I was doing at that point in time. So 2023, I really started looking because I mean, and I'm a numbers guy, so I keep up with every number. I know how many people I call during the day, how many people I speak to. I keep up with all my, my expenditures, and I just feel keeping up with numbers, man, it takes all the emotion out of this business. Because if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business.
That's right.
But I was, looking at the end of the year, like, man, look at what I've spent in leads, just buying leads, And I thought there's got to be a better way. So 2023, I really spent most of that year trying searching for some other way, and that's kind of where I came across you in the latter part of 2023. Uh, Hooked in with the Ultimate Agent Academy, and that's where I first learned about you and what you were doing. I kept thinking, man, that guy's got a system. I like what he's doing. and of course, I came from a trucking background myself. I mean, I grew up with, I tell people I'm a heavy equipment operator by trade. I was driving trucks and heavy equipment before ever had a driver's license. We just, it's a family business. And I kept
Boy,
thinking, man,
you were born in the sleeper of an old Kenworth.
I'm born a sleeper. Well, I tell you this, I had most kids had Tonka toys. We had a Caterpillar D8 sitting in our front yard. So I mean, they didn't leave keys in nothing. I'd get up there and start starting things up and driving them around. But uh, I just kept thinking, I could do that. And I was an owner operator. I was in the trucking business for several years, and I just thought, man, that seems like a natural fit. And you had put a post out in, I think it was in January of 2023, that you were looking to build a team. And that's when I reached out to you. I think it was over between Christmas and New Year's. You and I had first talked. And I looked at your system and what you were doing and generating your own leads and getting into a niche market. And man, we just plugged in January, and I bought into the system, and I tell you what, I think it's been one of the best decisions I've made in the insurance industry, period, because you went from making a dial, preparing yourself for battle, to now, I mean, we hardly ever get objections. I mean, these people,
So
they've already,
so you have an office. You're out of Tennessee.
yeah.
You have an office there, and just kind of where was your business at? You know, when you met me, where was your business at? Where, like, how many apps were you writing a week?
Oh, at the time, man, in 2023, 2023 was a rough year for us. We were way off of what we had normally been doing. I mean, I've been a six figure earner, all my years doing this, except for 2023, and that was a struggle, just because the lead dynamic had changed for me. I spent a lot of that year searching, so we were off probably we were off, probably 35, 40% of what we were doing uh previously. Uh so we were, I still, writing, you know, 3 or 4 grand a week, which was, you know, not good for me. I didn't consider that good, but it
Especially with what
just,
you were spending on marketing.
especially what I was spending on marketing and leads. But I mean, I think when we started off with you and doing what we were doing here, man, I mean, we just took off running. I mean, I couldn't believe, I thought this, you know, what I was spending in the marketing here to compare to the leads that I was buying. And then, going from a, 40, 50 to $80 a month premium to, I mean, hey, these premiums are, I think we're averaging what, $150, $160 on, 150, $160 a month per app. I mean, it was a no brainer to me. And like I said, we've hit the ground running. I haven't looked back. I haven't looked back at anything. So it's been a very, very good experience.
That's awesome, man. So with your trucking background, do you think that helped just hopping into our system, that that you could speak well with the drivers, you related well with the drivers? Do you think that's where your success came from? Or, do you think somebody else could get into this that doesn't have any trucking experience and still be okay?
Well, I think it was a big help. I do think it was a help because I can talk to truck drivers. I talk their language. And your story was out there, and I kind of had a similar story in a way that in 2001 I fell off of a flatbed trailer and ended up having to spend about a week and a half in the hospital, and was out of the, was off the road for almost 2 months. I was bleeding through my kidneys, and, just had some injuries there. It took me a little time to recover. But I, I have I don't have a, I have an easy time speaking with truck drivers. They're salt of the earth people, man. I mean, these truckers, they are, they're the backbone of this country. They're what keeps this country moving. And until you've been out there in a truck and know what they go through on a day to day basis, And I just relate to them, and it's been a perfect fit.
Yeah, it's definitely a different animal altogether, and I love it because truck drivers just, I mean, you know as well as I do, Rod, the trucking industry is just not set up for benefits. It doesn't matter if you work for a company, I mean, their benefits suck and they're expensive. So most drivers, they're not going to take the benefits. So even if they're offered them, a lot of them just don't have it. So, I mean, I always say 99% of the people we speak with, when you ask them what they have in place,
Nothing.
it's always nothing,
Yeah.
nothing. So, they're not getting called all day long, you know, like a mortgage protection lead or anything like that, final expense lead. I mean, we talk to a lot of people that are over 50 years old and they're not getting hammered with final expense stuff and getting called for final expense because they're out on the road. They don't have that channel of the mail. You know, I think the mail and the internet is where all these leads come from. And I think they kind of stay away from that somehow. But with our ads, you know, Facebook, I think what they do is they finish up for the evening, they go to the truck stop, they fuel their truck up, get some food, shower, whatever. I think because of kind of the loneliness is they're going back to their truck and they're laying down in their sleeper and they're just scrolling. And I mean, I
Absolutely.
honestly think that that's why our marketing works so well. We've just found such a great niche of people that, you know, first of all, are kind of alone on the road, and it's up to themselves to figure out how to get the things they need. And the good thing is they do their own business. A lot of them, you know, it's not like they have to call their wife or, you know, oh, I need to talk to this. You get that every now and then, but I mean, they're driving a truck. They're owner operator, Doug. They're running their own business, so they call the shots. They want the coverage. They get it. They pay for it. You know, there's not a lot of having to talk to the wife about it. So super awesome niche. And kind of tell us, Rod, you know, what do you think your ROI has been like? How much has that changed since joining our team, joining our marketing from where you were and where you came from?
Well, I will be, honest with you. I mean, I was spending, and I've always considered myself a lead junkie. I mean, I don't do a lot of referral business or anything like that. Uh, be totally transparent. My lead bill per month, you know, I was spending 6,000 a month, $6,000 to $8,000 a month in buying leads, and that, to generate, you know, I tell people I'm not one of those 80% closers. Hey, look, I'll be honest with you, man. I close about 35, 40% of everything that I sit with. So, we're still writing, you know, 15, 20 grand a month in premium. Uh, my lead bill now or my marketing, uh, I think the biggest month I told you there a second ago on the phone is what, that I've spent in leads is, 3,600, and I'm writing. Last month, I think we submitted almost 30,000, and I think 28, something like that. I don't, here I just told you a minute ago, I'm not big into numbers, but as long as I got them in front of me, I don't have them memorized, but I do have that down. So yeah, my ROI has gone through the roof.
So let's kind of go back to the leads real quick, you know, because I hated this as an agent. You know, I used to spend way too much time figuring out because when I started, I was doing final expense and I was traveling all over 4 states. You know, I ran Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, and Arkansas. And I spent way too much time looking at lead vendor websites, trying to figure out where I might want to go. And then I would check out demographics because if I left, you know, let's say I left Texas and I worked my way up to Missouri, you know, I strategically had to buy leads in certain places and not go to the same place all the time and, you know, burn up the leads. So I would strategically and then I'd work my way back. But the problem was I would spend so much time on the internet checking demographics trying to find seniors and where big senior communities might be. Like there's one down around Austin, Texas. It's a big gated community. Like I don't know, I think there's like 5,000 people that live in that, and it's a 55 plus community. So I was always looking for things like that and just places that people retire to. You know, People like to retire down south where it's warm. So just knowing that and trying to find these hot spots and these demographics and buying leads in those areas and trying not to overwork those areas and have a strategy of going out and then coming back as well. So when we fired off this marketing, I mean, we just fired off nationwide. We switched to telesales now. I don't spend one single minute worrying about where I'm going to get leads at.
Mm-mm. No, absolutely not. It don't matter. Just send me the lead. If I don't have a license, let's just run the appointment. And if we're able to write an application, we'll get a license. Right now we're sitting here and I live in a little community, man, 18,000 people's in the entire county. I mean, I'm in rural East Tennessee and, and I tell people, say, man, we're running a nationwide agency right here. I'm running 30 states right now. I'm licensed in 30 states. I think when I first met up with you, Hunter, I might have had, I don't know, 10 license in 10 other states where I was, trying to branch out, but I haven't worried about it, man. Wherever the lead comes from, let's see if we can help these drivers. And if we can help them, then man, it's no big deal going NIPRN, get your license and go.
So something else, especially in final expense, there's so many agents out there, in that arena, and you always got to find a different angle. And I know there's agents out there, and maybe I've done it myself a few times, but instead of being the insurance agent, you have agents out there acting like they're somebody they're not. So you have agents calling a senior saying, "Hey, this is Hunter, and I'm calling you, on behalf of the state of Texas or whatever." Or if it's a mortgage deal, I know a lot of agents that used to try to make it seem as if they worked for the mortgage company. They had the name of the mortgage company on the mailer card or the internet lead. So, hey, I'm calling you on behalf of Chase Mortgage. So they made it seem as if they were somebody else just to try to get an inside angle. What do you think? Like when we call the lead, we call these truck drivers. I mean, how many objections are you having to overcome just constantly? And, just be prepared. And, when you make the call, are you having to just like prepare yourself to just get beat up or, kind of explain that process?
It's real simple. I call them up. I say, hey, Hunter, this is Rod. I was calling. You'd been on my Facebook page looking at the ad about how we protect truck drivers and their income. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. I mean, that's all I say.
They don't hang up on you?
They don't hang up on me or nothing because they remember the video. They remember clicking on the link. I mean, I just tell them, say, hey, you were on my Facebook page. You had looked at the video about how we work with truck drivers protecting their incomes, and you'd sent in that you'd like some more information. Uh, you know, are you available now, or would you want me to set up a time I can call you later? And that's, but with our CRM and the way things are coming in, the majority of our leads are just self-booking anyway. They're already clicking through the link. They've gone through the system. They've self-booked themselves. Now I do have an assistant that works with me. So she comes in and she gets here at 8 o'clock in the morning. She starts dialing the leads that haven't self-booked. So I've kind of got my system honed in that, man, I come in here every day, man, I've got appointments every 30 minutes. So I run it like no different than a doctor's office or a lawyer, man. We're self-employed and my most valuable time is talking to a truck driver, you know,
Would you
get
would you
appointments
say
in.
you're getting spoiled with
I'm
our
very
marketing?
spoiled.
You're not having to sit there and dial 300 or 400 times a day?
Dialing was I'd like to be a very positive person, Hunter, and I don't like to say that I hate doing this or I hate doing that, but I will tell you this: dialing leads was probably my least favorite thing to do. It was. I
Mine
just didn't
too.
like it. Didn't like it.
I hate calling people. I mean, but these are different, man. I mean, you call these people and you're not gonna get hung up on. I mean, you'll get a couple that hang up on you just because they might be busy or something, but completely different type of lead. I mean, and that's why I do the video marketing. You know, that I used to do like images when I first started, images with a bunch of, words and, my pitch. So when I
Yeah.
started doing video, people relate to that. People relate to you, and they hear the message you're talking about, and they fill out a form. I mean, and it's nothing crazy. I mean, we ask, what your name is, your email, your phone number, what state you live in, and whether you're an owner, operator, or company driver. Everything that I said in the ad explains everything else. So,
Yeah.
I mean, after they're in, they just need to know a few more details of what exactly the coverage is and then what it's going to cost them. It's
Exactly.
not like it's definitely not like a final expense or a mortgage, and maybe I just sucked at it. Maybe I was a bad salesman, but I felt like I was always trying to sell something to somebody that they didn't want, or they
Yeah.
they didn't even know why I was there because they filled out, a lead form for a gift card or a free something. So they didn't know exactly why I was there, and I, quick set the appointment. And then I show up, start talking about life insurance, and like, oh, I thought this was about Medicare or something else. And I'm like, no. So I was having to actually sell a product almost as if I was just cold knocking doors because they didn't even know why I was there. So,
Well, and the beautiful thing about, like I said, I'm not trying to, hey, you were on our Facebook page, you looked at a video, I'm just getting back with you. Uh, is now good, or, do we need to set up a time? They need to set up a time. And sometimes, you'll be talking to these truck drivers and they're driving. So one thing about this, there is a little more follow up here
because they're
because
busy.
they're busy, and hey, cell service sometimes is sketchy, so you don't know, or they've got something else going on. But uh, I've I've never worried about, I never was good at following up before, but this is just I mean, yeah, they want to do something. They know they need help, and they're just looking for somebody just to kind of explain it to them, be real with them, and just help them. But don't worry about the follows up.
And
You
if
got
you
to
lose
follow up.
them, due to bad cell service, chances are they'll call you back in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely,
I mean, it's
absolutely.
all the time. We get people calling our office that, they, the money wasn't in their account and it tried to draft, and they got an email saying that, the money wasn't there and they have insufficient funds. A lot of times they will call the office and try to get it fixed. Hey, can you guys redraft this? Never in my life did that happen before, we got into the trucking niche. It's just a completely different type of person, different mentality, and it's just honestly, it's just a pleasure to be able to talk
Oh,
to people that
absolutely.
want to talk to you, and they genuinely need some coverage. They may not have a lot of money. They might be able to afford $75 a month, and that's fine. Maybe they can afford 400 or 500 bucks a month. That's fine too.
Yep.
And I used to do a top-down sale when I was in final expense. I always wanted to show everybody the max. So I'd always show like 30 grand, 20 grand, 10 grand. And it's like it was a cringe, and everybody's like, you got anything cheaper than that? And I'm like, cheaper than 50 bucks? They're like, yeah, you got anything for like $12? I'm like, no, we don't. So with the drivers, I find myself, you know, them jumping on a $300 or $400 a month, you know, policy. And they're like, yeah, I can do 400 bucks a month. I'm like, okay. So really what I want to do, I just want to make sure that it's comfortable for you, and we're not taking food out of your kid's mouth, and every month when you get the bill, you're not just like, oh my God, there's that huge bill. So if $400 is not comfortable for you, we can look at 300 or 200, you know, and we can start a little bit lower if you want to. But if the 400 is comfortable, let's do it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's a completely because even though you're backing somebody down from 400 to 200, you got a $200 a month commission, you're still getting a nice commission.
Yeah. Well, and I kind of do the same process. And I always say with a base package, and I'll start with a lower amount base package, and I'll work up, and I never give no more than three numbers ever. Three options is all I give. I I don't think I've ever had anybody take the base package. They always are on and I always say, hey, here's your base package. We could do this. We could do this. Does any of this fit your budget, or do you want to see more? And sometimes I say, well, how much would, you know, three or
What's the
four hundred
max I
thousand?
can get?
Yeah. What's the max I can get? Okay. Well, but I always offer it to them, hey, here's three options here. I just wanted to, see where your budget is. Is that comfortable to you, or would you like to see more coverage? And I had a lot of times, man, that if they say, "Well, I'd like to see more," you probably pretty much know you're about to write a policy.
Yeah, and that's kind of the beauty of it because, I keep going back to final expense just because that's where my experience was. I tried the mortgage stuff. It was kind of a different animal, and I wasn't good at the mortgage, so I just stuck with final expense. But the the income, because a lot of these people are self-employed, they own their own truck, and if they don't own their own truck, they drive somebody else's truck, and they're still 1099. They may have to you still pay for repairs, or a lot of these guys lease trucks and they're still on the hook for all the bills. So it's the cash flow. They're just like us. We have a lot of cash flow, and it's nothing for them to be able to spend $300 or $400. In
Mhm.
final expense or mortgage protection, you're dealing with a lot of people that have jobs. They're W-2 employees. They only make a certain amount every single week. That's all you're going to get, no less, no more. And so you got to kind of work with that. And so I think with the cash flow and these people being self-employed or contractors, that helps because not only is it a benefit that they need because they have absolutely nothing, but also it's a tax write-off
Right.
because they're a 1099 or a contractor or self-employed. So every insurance policy they have, that's a write-off. So it makes sense to them to be able to do that, write it off, and not everybody else can do that. So
And I
that's
think
what I love
also,
about it.
not only do we have a niche market, in my opinion, I think we've got probably one of the best products in the insurance industry. And I stole, this is a Hunter Palmer line that I stole, is that triple win that we're putting in place for a driver. We want to make sure that if you pass away, that your family gets paid. If you get sick or hurt with a critical or chronic illness or injury, you get paid. And if nothing happens at all, we want to always make sure you have access to money. With the index universal life policy and the flexibilities that are there, I think it's the best policy out there.
Yeah. And I mean, that's what I tell them. Every time I get on the phone with them, I say, Rod, my goal today is just to make sure that you have access to money no matter what.
Yeah.
That's it. And once I explain the benefits and show them that they are going to have access to money no matter what, I say, hey, does this sound like something that would benefit you and your family?
Hmm.
And I would say less than 1% say no. I mean, why would you say no to those kind of benefits?
Oh, yeah, I've
And
never had anybody. Well, yeah, I have. I've had a couple of people. Well, no, this won't work. Well, okay. Well, you have a good day. Good luck to you. You
I get a
know?
lot of people, they're like, well, yeah, I mean, who would say no?
Yeah. Who would say
You're
no?
you're right. I
Yeah.
say, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna ask you a couple of basic questions and pull some options up here for you. Find something, comfortable in your budget and something that, fits your needs. So just ask them a few basic health questions just to make sure they're healthy enough to qualify for
Yep.
an IUL. And we keep it simple, man. And
Yeah.
that's really what has helped us, because a lot of people reach out to me after I do a training or something, or I'll speak on somebody's training or podcast or whatever, and they're like, "Man, how are you writing so many IULs? How do you structure them? Who does your illustrations?" And I'm like, "We don't structure anything. We don't talk about IUL. We don't talk about retirement. We don't talk about cash accumulation. We keep it simple, and I would say 9 times out of 10, they don't even know they're getting an IUL. They just know they're getting a good all around package.
Yep. Well, and you're right. You know, you can get off in the weeds into an IUL, and what you do then is you just create confusion. I mean, and it's I mean, you can get real confused with an IUL, but it's really a simple product. You know, it's very simple. I mean, now if you want to get into tax-free retirements and all that type of stuff, then that's going to be another conversation down the road. But I don't even go that way.
And I've told people before, and I think it's starting to catch on because I heard somebody talking about it the other day that there's a lot of ads out for income protection. And I've been saying this for the last 2 years now. Every conference I go to, I tell people like the angle is income protection. Nobody wants to talk about life insurance. Nobody wants to talk about dying. And I literally think if you use that income protection angle, you can do that with final expense too. Instead of going into somebody's house and talking about, oh, if you die first or if you die first. No, let's talk about what's going to happen if you become ill or if you die. You know, you most people are still going to have a mortgage payment. So if you approach final expense folks from a income protection standpoint instead of just dying, I mean, I really think your premiums will go up and you're building more of a relationship. And I'm not saying that it'll work with, single people because they're already kind of in a bind, but as long as they're couples, married, been married forever, they're concerned about what's going to happen, when they pass away, where the bill's going to go, because they probably already talked to an attorney, they're probably working on, trust and wills and trying to keep things out of probate because they probably had somebody else that passed away in their family, wasn't set up right. So now they're freaking out. So they know that something's going to happen. And I think using that income protection angle, you could write a lot of big final expense policies that way. Instead of writing $5,000 and $10,000 burial policies, you could probably write more 40 and $50,000 final expense policies if you use that angle.
Well, you know, and I heard on and I don't know exactly what the numbers were, but it talks about how many people get a cancer diagnosis, has a heart attack, has a stroke, and they do not die, but they don't work for a while.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
like you said, protect the income. What happens if that happens and you don't die?
Yeah, it's like Sarah, our one of our other partners. She had I think I'm telling this story correctly, but she had twins and they're older now, they're in high school, but when she had those twins, she had a stroke. I don't know if it was
Mm.
during the pregnancy or during labor or after, but it was right around the pregnancy time. And, if you look at her, her eye kind of does something different. She says one side of her face just doesn't do what the other side does. So, I mean, she was young when that happened. I mean, her kids are in high school, so she was probably, in her early 20s when that happened, had a stroke while she was trying to have kids. So things happen, man. And,
Things
that's what
happen.
we're trying to help people with is the unexpected because most people are unprepared.
Yeah. And you can wrap it up in all one nice little package there. You can, you got a death benefit, you got income protection there in case you get sick and you don't die. And you've also got access to cash money down the road for anything out of the cash value. So, like I said, I think we've got one of the best products out there, in my opinion, and we've got a market that I think is terribly underserved, and they're just looking for somebody to kind of simple it down for them and make it simple.
Yeah, so if you get anything out of this video today, whoever's watching this, if you get anything out of this video today, I know you've heard people say there's riches in the niches. And I don't believe that's false. I believe that's very true if you work it the right way. But I say this at every training that I do, and I blast it all over social media, but marketing is superior to sales. So it doesn't matter how good of a salesperson you are. You could be the best salesperson in the world and still be struggling just because you're not getting in front of the right audience. You're not getting in front of the right leads. So when you have a niche set up where it's something that you're passionate about and you do your own marketing, you figure that out, or you hire somebody to help you figure that out, how to run ads, it's not that hard. I had people tell me in the beginning, they said, you either need to be an insurance salesman or you need to be a digital marketer, but you can't do both. And I was like, okay. And that handicapped me for the longest time because I just did not even worry about it. I just bought leads, bought leads, bought leads because the marketers don't want you figuring out how to run ads because they want to sell you leads. And as we slowly progressed towards marketing and then progressed into doing video marketing, it changed the whole game. So you can really be not that good at sales. You don't have to be an expert. I mean, we brought people in on our team that have no insurance experience at all and set them up with these trucking leads. And, there's a learning curve. It takes a couple weeks, to get the script down and kind of figure out the audience that you're speaking to and how to talk to them. But man, they just take off. And so if you get anything out of this video today, I just want to say that marketing is superior to sales. And if you spend any time doing anything, you need to be figuring out how to market, how to run ads, what platforms to do it on, what's the best way to do it. I would solely focus my time on trying to figure out the marketing aspect because if you can hone in on the marketing, you don't have to be a good salesman. If you got people in front of you that want to buy, you don't have to be a good salesman. You don't have to sell something to somebody that wants to buy it already. So Rod, I appreciate you coming on here today, spending a little bit of time with me. I know you're super busy, got a bunch of drivers to talk to today, but you got any ending words for us? A little bit of encouragement.
Hey, no, like I said, I appreciate being a part of you and Emily's team there. Great people to work with, and like I said, you opened my eyes. And what you said there at the end, you can sell insurance and market at the same time. You need to, because at the end of the day, this is a people business, and what we really need is you just need more people to be in front of. You need the people, and I think this is a beautiful platform to do this on. And I just thank you for letting me be a part of this team. I've I really have grown a lot, and I'm excited to see. I think we've just, and I've told you this a couple times, I don't even think we've really hit the tip of the iceberg yet. I think that it's just unlimited what can happen here, and
Yeah,
I'm
no, I
excited.
mean, it can definitely go a long ways because you got drivers retiring every day, that are turning 65, going into Medicare, Social Security. If you write Medicare, your life client or a health insurance client just now became a Medicare client. So it's definitely a long-term relationship with these drivers. And as well as I do, 90% of the time we're just helping the driver. They still have a family we hadn't even helped. And being able to go back later on and say, hey, it's been 6 months. We just want to do a review with you. And we also want to talk about, getting something set up for your wife. We know that you're the breadwinner, but if something happens to your wife, you're going to have to get off the road and take care of them kids and take care of some things. You might have to get a local job, so your life's going to change. So, we need to really think about, that angle as well and maybe getting a little bit of coverage on the kids or whatever. So, if you do health insurance, you can help out with that, ACA, or you offer PPO plans. I mean, it's endless. There's 3.5 million drivers in the United States. So, we're definitely sitting on a gold mine. But,
Absolutely.
yeah, man, appreciate your time and,
Hey, thank you, Hunter.
we'll get this shut down.
All right.